I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, April the 10th, brought to you in part by Zactran. Keep more of your hard-earned profits with Zactran, an antimicrobial that controls and treats BRD so cattle can get on feed quickly and keep gaining weight. Remember to observe the 35-day withdrawal period. Go to Zactran.com for more information or talk to your BI rep. No love for June, and I'm not talking about a lady named June. I happen to know one named June, and that's not the case, but I'm talking about your June live cattle contracts down hard with your April spot quite a bit higher, of course, trying to catch that token gift that your Packers gave on a very limited amount of cash trade this week at 105. But June down hard, and that's just saying that people are looking down the road, not a long ways, but looking at the short-term future here, and they're not real excited about what's going on. A lot of these plants are running at just a fraction of their normal rate. Their schedules are down. Some of them just working one shift. We keep having threats every day that a major plant's going to be down several days next week, or they're going to close, and there are some that are closed, and we know about the ones that are closed, and most of the threats don't end up happening. The ag media has got real excited about this and starting to see stories every morning, just like the coronavirus on the mainstream media, but on your ag media, about plants that are down or going to be down. And we can't help that. We know that. It's part of this coronavirus crisis that's going on. And we're going to be slaughtering less cattle. We know that. We don't need the stories every morning like they're brand new. We know what's going on out there. It's not just cattle. It's everything, and everything in your agriculture too. They're dumping milk by the semi-truckload. They're destroying hogs. They're destroying chickens out there. I tell you what, they just can't. The plants can't operate because you have too many people on that front line standing shoulder to shoulder. That's the way they have to do that work. And when you have to have 6 or 8 or 10 feet in between you and a mask on and all the protection there, you just can't get the work done. We know this, but it's going to cause a lot of problems down the road, even after we open this economy back up and we get these restaurants back open. Boy, we hope it happens, within a month or so. But there's probably going to be a big purchase order from your food service because they're going to want to get ready, because people are going to be ready to go back to their favorite restaurants, and then that's going to put a big surge on your orders there, and they may not be able to fill them. So we're not sure how this is going to work out, but it's just something that has a little bit to do with the media. Who knows how much it's overblown, but it causes quite a big ruckus, and it causes your futures markets to behave wildly. And these algorithm deals don't help it at all, because it gets to going one way and then you can't stop it. But let's look at your board for Thursday. April live cattle futures, like I said, we're up $1.17, only at $94 even. So they're just at 94. Like I said, we got $1.05 fat cattle market, and we're quite a ways down into April here. June live cattle, which I opened up with, were down $2.30 at 84.37. So June, $10 almost lower than what April is, and we're hoping that we're going to be kind of past a lot of this worst coronavirus stuff by June, but we're just thinking that all this upheaval in your plants and problems with getting the production done are going to affect things when it goes out there, and they're probably right. As you go out further out from June, all of your contracts were down over $1, but not nearly as severe as what June was. April feeder cattle down 35 cents at 119.52. May was down 42 cents at 118.95. The rest of your contracts were up Not a lot, but kind of wavering from just a smidge up to a pretty good rise there going through 2020. Some of your early 2021s were off just a little bit. But fat cattle trade, the volume is going to be very disappointing again this week. We didn't have a whole lot of confirmed sales. We didn't see a swing and gate type deal, but as we talked earlier in the week, our trade was established at 105. And I've said it again and again that 105 may not sound very good, but it was kind of a gift by your packers. Partly because they're under so much scrutiny, partly because Sonny Perdue has kind of turned the dogs loose on them. They've got DOJ breathing down their neck. They've got PNS kind of nibbling at their pant cuff, but they can kind of shake those off. But the DOJ not quite as easy. But that 105, they didn't have to give 105. The 105 was so they could say, well, look, we're giving more than $10 more than your nearest spot futures contract there. See how good a guys we are at 105 there, and it was also to keep your formulated guys kind of at bay too, because that's what the weighted average is going to be near at 105 on a lot of cattle coming in the contracts. And our slaughter has been very, very disappointing, but it's mostly just been disappointing on your cash because they're trying to get as many of those formulated cattle slaughtered as they can, but they had come out here late in the week saying that they're not going to be able to meet all their obligations on that. And I wonder if they would be as accommodating to the feedlots if they were running short of cattle that they had promised them. Probably not. But on confirmed sales on Thursday, 1,700 head in Nebraska at 105. And Nebraska's only had 6,100 head so far for the week. And now we're looking at, unless we have some Friday trade, which we're not really expecting much Friday trade to speak of at all, less than 25,000 head in your 5-area feeding region, negotiated cash for the week again. We had it last week, and if we can get this 30-14 deal done, minimum 30% negotiated cash trade, and all of your major packers at all their locations, if we can get that done within a 14-day delivery, which I tell you what, it's looking like we'll get something done. They won't just completely abandon the cash trade or just trade just enough to get their weighted average established for the formulas. But I tell you what, word's getting out on this 30-14 deal. And if you guys aren't getting excited about it, you need to get that way. I tell you what, we had guys stirring and talking about it, organizations talking about it, kind of clashing organizations talking about it. We had dogs and cats, denned up in the same cave and having conference calls and putting their egos aside and trying to get behind something that it looks like everybody could get behind, and it's hard to believe any outfit that calls themselves a cattleman's organization, how they couldn't get behind this 30-14 deal is more than I can believe. But let's look at your box beef cutout values. They were mixed, and it didn't make a lot of sense either. On Thursday afternoon, your choice cuts were up 33 cents at 222.67, but select down 4.20. And that doesn't make a lot of sense with Select ending the day trade at 207.57. So we're selling mostly all retail with very little food service. Well, a lot of your supermarkets, and not just your low-level supermarkets, but a lot of your supermarkets feature Select meat. And, it might not be quite as tender and juicy as the choice, but it's not that bad. And a lot of them feature that. That's where most of your Select meat goes. Your Select meat is a small portion of what your cutouts are. It's mostly choice anymore, especially since they put the instrument grading in. Most all your cattle grade choice and even prime. Since we started that, it's gotten even more so. But the Select down that hard, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You would think when that happens that you would be in the grilling season, and the food service would be going big if you were having parties and things like that, and we're sure not doing any partying right now. Tell you what, down here at the Fort Worth Stockyards, which is a party place, but here with Wolf Cattle Company helping with their sale, and took online bids for 6.5 hours for the Wolf cattle sale, and I tell you what, it was as good as it could have been with no crowd and online and phone bids only, and that sale went as smooth as a pin. But still, you sell 450 lots, it's going to take a while. But that box beef with your choice up a little bit and your select down hard does not really make sense with the complexion of what's going on in the marketplace right now. Your slaughter continues to become more vivid on disappointment as we work further through the week, and we're going to be down a lot for the week. But through Thursday, 417,000 head harvested. That's 60,000 less than the same time last week, and 68,000 less than the same week a year ago. And like I said, it's mostly the cash that's not getting slaughtered because they're not buying it. Let's look at your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on DB auction, 116.85, actually up $1.06, and that's a little bit encouraging. But you look at your big sales, Pratt, Kansas. That was one of the markets, and your Thursday markets last week were the ones that took the brunt of it. Now, you remember that, like $20 to $28 lower in some of those Thursday sales last week. It's just the luck of the draw on what day your sale is and it goes around and comes around, so everybody usually gets an up and down day. But man, did the Thursday sales take it in the shorts last week. But Pratt had 3,100 head this Thursday, and they did regain a lot of that, so they're back to kind of an even playing field with your other sales on the different days of the week. But feeder steers $10 to $12 higher, feeder heifers $6 to $9 higher. Your calves not as active, and the heck of it is, it snuck up on us, but it's turnout dates in a lot of your major turnout regions there, your grazing regions, the Flint Hills, the Osage. You want to get all that good, especially on your double stock deals. You got to have every day that they'll let you have those cattle out on the double stock deals to make it worth it. But most of those turnout dates are April 15th. I'm not sure you got time unless you get some foolproof cattle that have had everything long time weaned and been together a long time. It's kind of hard to buy any cattle now to turn out in those vast grazing areas out there. But steer calves and Pratt were $4 to $7 lower. Heifer calves had a lower undertone, but not a very good test. But one thing that was a little better was your cows, your slaughter cows, $3 to $5 higher in winter livestock in Pratt, Kansas. But look at these top sales on your steer bunches that come out of Pratt, Kansas there, and some of them are looking pretty decent. Well, we've gotten over the shock, and we're kind of used to seeing your 8-weight steers in the high teens and the low 20s, and that's just the market, guys. That's where we're at. But look at this one stick-out deal there. 55 head of 610-pound steers at $164.50, and I suspect that might be one of those deals where you could just kind of run through, process, and put your ear tag in and turn them out. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock, Salina, Kansas, on the north central part of the state, 2,200 head there. Feeders $3 to $9 higher. And look at the top bunches there out of Salina on your bigger yearlings. And most of these got quite a bit of weight to them. And you see this one biggest bunch there was a pretty darn good market for the weight. 116 head of 875-pound steers. So it, like I said on our last visit, it gets to be a long ways market-wise when you get up there in the weights. Like those 9-weight cattle sure aren't bringing a whole lot of money compared to what your light 8s and your 7-weight cattle are bringing. But 116 head of 875-pound steers bring $114.50. Want to give a shout out and a high quote to a market, and more so for the region. You got to take all that into consideration. But Northeast Georgia Livestock in Athens, Georgia, good folks there. They had one of their graded sales there on Thursday, and had a pretty good market. Not a lot of cattle there, but they did put a load there together that was 60-day wean steers mostly all black with some Charlet cross on an end of them, but 82 head, 640-pound steers at 135 in Athens, Georgia, Iowa bound. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.